Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia, and I just noticed I am going to be moving a chair for a second. It's a dirty T-shirt. You don't need to see that. All right. I didn't realize that was in camera today. I changed the positioning of my camera. So I want to say hi to Dylan in the audience. Dylan, you'll meet Noah and Matt in a moment. You'll find all about their book. But today, it's Wednesday. It's a Whiz Wednesday. So let's show today's Whiz. It's a single panel strip today, so I'm only going to hold it up for about 15 seconds or so. So let's get this going here. And that was today's Whiz strip. You can follow me at the Whiz Comic, which is down at the bottom there, on both Instagram and Facebook. New Whiz every Wednesday. So now let's bring on our guests. They're in the process of getting a book up on Kickstarter next week on June 14th. It is a fantastic concept. I know nothing about the book. I'm going to learn just with you guys tonight. But when I saw the work, and I told them this backstage, first of all, I was a little upset I didn't come up with the concept because it sounds something like would be totally up my alley to create. But secondly, the artwork looked more like a cartoony version of Jack Kirby, and I'm a huge Kirby fan. I'm a huge cartoony fan. You guys know that. So let's bring on, and I apologize. I forgot how to say Matt's last name, so I'm just going to say Matt and Noah, and let them tell you their full name. So let's bring on Matt and Noah. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Can you, Matt? I'm sorry. Can you re-say your last name for me?
Sure. My name is Matt Kund. It's a hard to pronounce last name, but hey, I've lived with it all my life. I can keep going.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just terrible with names. With that, I'm great with faces. I'll never forget your face. I'll run into you into a con and be like, "Hey, I know you, but I don't know your name anymore. I'm sorry. It happens."
Well, Matt and I are notorious for having people say their names when we have them on our show, and then immediately forgetting how to pronounce their names as soon as we start it.
Yeah,
and we've been doing our show for 5 years now.
Wow.
And I'm the exact same way. I completely understand.
And you're Noah Ray, because
I'm Noah Ray, the most basic spelling of both names. Easy to pronounce, 3 syllables. You're going to forget it. It's going to be okay.
No, that one I won't forget. I'm pretty sure it's very, like you said, very easy on both. So you were just talking about a show you guys have. Before we get into the comics and stuff, you want to tell us about the show you guys do?
Sure. Noah and I are the co-host of the Constructing Comics podcast. It started off, initially, Noah and I thought we were going to do sort of like page breakdowns and just sort of describe like how pages flowed and, what we liked about certain pages, what we thought might be a little confusing at times. But since then, it's sort of evolved to an interview show, anywhere from folks like ourselves that do indies, Kickstarters, crowdfunding, to anybody, or not any, a few folks that have worked at DC and Marvel. We're lucky enough to have a pretty decent relationship with Philip Kennedy Johnson, with DC Comics. He lives very close to us, so he's been very kind with his time. But Noah, do you want to add a little bit about what we do on the podcast?
Yeah, we mostly just, invite people on, and we talk process. That's the big thing. We don't really, people like coming on our show because we don't ask the basic questions. We don't really spend too much time on pitches and things like that. We let them pitch at the beginning, and then we just dive right into, how'd you come up with the idea? What keeps you going? How's it like promoting the book? All of that stuff. Like to get deep into the discussions. It's nothing too serious. We have a lot of fun, made a lot of good friends that way. But it is, I think it just sort of came naturally for both of us as creators to want to ask creator like questions, because we say that if no one's listening, at least we're getting something out of it by stealing everybody else's processes along the way. So, you know, I think our philosophy is that we try to get as much out of the interview as hopefully our listeners do. So, and I know I've definitely gotten a lot out of.
That's great. Actually, that's something. When I it's funny you say that, because when I started the show, this show started during the pandemic, because when cons ended, I missed talking with artists and, you know, seeing friends and all that. So I started with bringing just friends of mine on, and then just started reaching out to other people. A lot of it became, you know, hey, I got a Kickstarter, and I'm all about promoting the indie. So you guys have something, I want you to come on and tell me about it, tell my audience about it. But the process stuff is when I get to talk about that with other creators, like it becomes a geek out moment for me. Like I really get into those conversations. You know, there's one show I did a couple of years ago, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, and please forgive me, but he does the book Tesla on Mars. If you've seen that comic,
I think so.
Oh man, Tesla on Mars, check it out. It's a fantastic indie book. The art is gorgeous. And listen, I mean, the guy is really nice, but I just haven't talked to him a while, which is why I'm blanking on his name. But we literally did an hour of my show just talking about doing cons and promoting work and feedback and stuff. And we didn't even get into talking about his book or the Kickstarter. It was just, we just went off, and it was like an hour of conversation, and we had so much fun. It's just, I love doing that type of stuff.
Yeah. Thankfully I have Matt around to cut things off at a certain point, because I like getting into conversations with people, but Matt's really good about just keeping it nice and short. You know, we usually go from about 45 minutes to an hour at most.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that even when I'm doing it solo, I try to keep Matt's like timer in my brain. Just like, okay, we've talked about this, now it's time to wrap up. And it's good. I think both of us, we balance each other out. We both ask different kinds of questions and have a good rapport. I mean, at least we've been doing it for 5 years. I would hope we have a good rapport by this time. But I think we've always gelled, because I'll say it this time, Matt, you and I don't go a week without talking to each other about some kind of comics thing. So it's just like, you know, it might even be close to daily. It might be, yeah. Sharing some, you know, cool picture we saw online, or, you know, I picked up a book, or, you know, a lot of times we'll check in of like, hey, have you read this issue of this? So I don't like go, hey, that was awesome when it happened on this page. And he's like, oh yeah, I read that. And then we can talk about it. But yeah, you know, it's been a lot of fun. I think one thing that works out really well is Noah is sort of like the free spirit. He can go into like a number of ways, and I'm sort of the analytical, like, all right, we did this, now we're moving to this point, now we're doing to this point. So that's part of our balancing out as well. So if I didn't rein Noah in, he would talk about some movie from the 1920s for 2.5 hours, and I'm not quite sure the audience wants to hang on that long.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but that sounds like a good time to me anyway. But it's great. I might need to find a partner to help reel me in sometimes. But anyway, let's just get into, for those who don't know you, besides the podcast, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Just about, you know, your comic experience, what got you into comics. If there's anybody you want to talk about specifically, influences, I mean, you know, whatever. And either one of you can start. I'll let you guys choose.
You go ahead, Matt.
Okay. Well, I'm old enough that I bought my first comic off of a spinner rack in a drugstore. I'm relatively sure it was a G.I. Joe Marvel book around like issue 50 or so, probably the mid 40s, because I remember issue 50 coming out and it being $1, and I was like, how am I going to scrounge up a whole $1 for this oversized issue? So that was what got me into comics. I sort of left comics for a while, and then came back to it later in life. I've told this story a few times, but I had recently taken a job that was more stressful, had a child, a young child, and was going through like a family issue. So I was just sitting there and I was like, what used to make me happy when I was a kid? And I was like, comic books. So I'm sitting there in a cubicle doing spreadsheets, all that kind of boring stuff. And I'm like, well, I have this iPhone here. I've been hearing about podcasts. Let me just search for some comic book podcasts. So it was just like having friends in my ears while I was working on these things. And from there it was, then I found the LCS, got a pull list, and then the bug to make comics took over, and I've kickstarted a few things. I've been in anthologies. I have a couple of things on the horizon here that hopefully will be, I can talk about more. But it's one of those things where you're not sure if they're going to happen until they're actually in print and in people's hands. So, but yeah, that's kind of my story. As far as like influences, I mostly work as a writer. I do dabble in art from time to time, but Jonathan Hickman is a huge influence for me. When I write, I tend to write high concept sci-fi. I love playing with alternate dimensions, time, stuff like that. So for somebody who's into that stuff, Hickman is certainly somebody who lights all of those fires under me to want to create myself.
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, and no, your turn.
Oh, I was gonna add that like the Hickman with Matt is very, like, he doesn't shut up about Hickman, and in a good way, but is also trying to follow Hickman's path by dabbling in art and writing at the same time, which is really cool. But no, I've always been drawing. My parents, from an early age, really encouraged me to draw and color and things like that, and so I think around the end of high school, I found that I liked doing comics. I think I'd done like a little kid thing where I drew comics and stapled them together, like for a long time. But then in high school I had a professor. Not in high school. At the end of high school, I took a college class. I had to do a sequential art sort of assignment, and the professor was like, "You're good at sequential art. That really is invaluable to have someone tell you that." And it was so that was the spark really that just sort of was like, yeah, I want to do this comics thing. I love doing it. I think I've been doing it seriously for about 6 or 7 years now. Not really like impatient with where I'm at, like just having a good time learning as I'm doing it, just having a good time dabbling in a lot of different things. So when Matt met me, I was in working a front desk at the community that we lived in, the community center, and I checked him in for him and his kids to go to the pool, and he saw that I was working on a comic in the background, and then that's how we started working together. I drew some short comics for him, and we've worked on anthologies and other projects ever since then. In 2020, I drew my first full-length comic, which was called Dino Thrashers. Then the next year, I drew Dino Thrashers 2. And that's sort of where Cosmic Caveman was born out of, because we weren't sure about the future of Dino Thrashers after issue 2, but I really liked working in this world where like the prehistoric and like high fantasy / high sci-fi, not high sci-fi. So high fantasy meets like, I guess, I don't know, like sci-fi fantasy, I guess is the better way of saying it. It's like sci-fi fantasy meets dinosaurs, basically. I love that, loved working in that. I had this idea for an action heavy comic that was just basically one long action scene from start to finish, but like with 3 acts in it and everything like that. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I wanted it to start in media res. that's a big thing with this book. And I just wanted, I wanted to do something fun. And then originally I thought I was going to draw it. I drew up some character designs, but I've been buying art from this guy named Clint Kaiser for about 3 years now. And I just would commission him to draw me like these cartoony Star Wars, his versions of Star Wars characters. Like I just loved his style, loved what he did. It's to my, I guess to my right, and I guess for you guys looking at me, like I guess if I pan over here, you can see on the wall over here, that's all Clint's artwork right there.
Oh, nice.
And
I mean, I can't really see it close up.
It's just to illustrate a point. I'm a big fan of Clint.
Yeah.
And so I just have been buying so much art from him. I was just like, and I really wanted to see a comic from him. So that is the big reason for why I'm doing Cosmic Caveman, is just so I can finally see a comic by Clint Kaiser. And I had this idea, so I sent it over to him. He was game. Paid him for the first 5 pages and the concept designs and a cover. And now I'm begging people to help me finish the book. That's what the Kickstarter is all about. And so yeah, that's how we're here. And then while I'm doing this, I'm working with Matt. I'm doing some lettering jobs. I'm doing drawing some comics, and I'm doing the podcast with him as well. So it's a full-time hobby. It's great.
Yeah. And I will add that I knew that Noah was a comics guy when I saw him sketching in the community center, because he wasn't just sketching in a notebook. He had an 11x17 board propped up on. You have like a mobile sort of desk that you can prop up. So I knew that he wasn't just randomly sketching when I saw the 11x17 board that he had up there. So
yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, listen. Well, first of all, I want to say hi to Mike Wilkie in the audience. Mike's
Mike.
Great.
Hey, Mike.
Great full-time cartoonist, doing some really cool stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, like, your story just sounds great. I love how you guys met. I love that you guys have this rapport and just have a great working relationship. It seems that you balance each other out. Not a lot of artists have that, or just creative teams have that. I've seen a few. I've had a couple on the show. Which by the way, guys, if you have a chance to check out Fugitive Poems. Just fugitivepoems.com. I mean, they're friends of mine, old co-workers, but they are fantastic together. It's the stuff they're putting out. They're anthologies right now, but the stuff they're just putting out is amazing the way they work together.
I think we've run across those guys, haven't we, Matt?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. They actually might have been on the podcast. Fugitive Poems.
Christian DiMatteo and James Lyons. Yeah, we used to work together. We used to. Just the short story of it is Christian came to me with an idea for a comic, and I said this wasn't my style. Go talk to James, and that's basically how they got together. Working on this stuff. And James, I love his style, his kind of rock and roll-ish meets Image Comics style that he's got, and Christian's just an insane writer.
Yeah.
But,
and to get on and I didn't answer the influences part.
But I'm sorry.
No, not to interrupt you, but just thinking about like your style, that's sort of what reminded me. Because Clint.
Mm-hmm.
Clint and I, we connected on a love of and a mutual shared influence with like mostly cartoon artists, like cartoonists, like I'm not like cartoon animators, that kind of thing. So like Clint has a very like you said, he's got a very Kirby, and like the book is very Kirby inspired, but more than anything, what it's inspired by is, and it's not that it's not that obvious, but like it's very Genndy Tartakovsky inspired. And
I'm sorry to interrupt. I wanted to say, I was going to ask you, when you said you just wanted to do a whole action story, and the first thing I went to looking at the idea is Primal. And I was like, okay, you're making a comic of Primal, but in your own way, right? It's basically. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny is that I've watched maybe one episode of Primal, and I've since been like, no, I'm not going to watch anymore until I'm done with Cosmic Caveman. Yeah. Not because I know I've already like, he's just like, I wear my influence of Tartakovsky on my sleeve with this book, with how I've written it and definitely how Clint's drawn it. But I I want it to be a reward for finishing this book, is to just sit down and finally watch Primal. Because I've been like wanting to just sit down and relish it. Like I haven't, like no distractions, nothing like that. Like just have a day to just watch all of it. Because I love his stuff so much.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've only seen the first season, so I have to go and finish. And everyone's telling me how great it is. I mean, like I've said on the show, and I was telling you guys, my background is in animation. Although I do, animation and comics are my passion. So when I pull my style, it's Hanna-Barbera, like the old classic Hanna-Barbera and Looney Tunes. But like I look at Gen D's stuff, and I look at, there's a few others that I look at too. But he's one of those, like when I'm looking up an idea and I'm trying to redesign a character, sometimes my first go-to is Samurai Jack. It's like I go look at that, and I'm like, because the designs on that show were just amazing. And
yeah, that's my other big influence for this, is more than Primal, it's Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
And but also Hanna-Barbera as well, because I grew up mainlining Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest. Like that's what I ate up most growing up, outside of like Samurai Jack and things like that. So Cosmic Caveman and the Volcano Worshippers is my homage to like a Johnny Quest.
I'm going to show you something
episode.
Since you're talking Hanna-Barbera right now.
Yeah.
So I got that print right up there.
That's
it's from
cool.
the Fantastic. But because Hanna-Barbera is so hard to collect the figures of, I got a crap ton of pop figures, all Hanna-Barbera, right over there. And if you go on my back wall, there's a model sheet of Mitor and oh God, what else? I got a few up there. Frankenstein Jr., like all those things those are like the cartoons I went to. I mean, I enjoyed Scooby-Doo, but it wasn't my like favorite stuff. I like their cartoon animals a bit more.
Yeah. No, definitely. I was raised on Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest. Those are my shows. My dad was like one of his favorite shows, period, not just cartoons, is Johnny Quest. And like, it was just, we watched that all the time.
Yeah, no, that was great. I have the DVD collection of the original. In my closet. I go back to that all the time.
Yeah. No, it's that's definitely like I'm very proud of, like, I think that Cosmic Caveman is definitely a book that like I wanted to put everything that I love into, like, in 20 pages.
Yeah.
And like every cartoon, obviously there's like a lot of Star Wars in there. There's a lot of Indiana Jones. Like I try to put, not like in a way where it's like, hopefully it's more fun in how obvious it is, I guess, than it is like, me throwing references at you the whole time. Because like I said, it's an action comic. It moves along. There's really just not a lot of time for me to sort of stop and point out homages. But yeah, like my influences are just, I wear my influences on my sleeve with this book. And thankfully Clint is on the same level as I am as far as that goes. Like we had an interview recently where Matt did have to interrupt Clint and I from just talking about cartoons the whole time. And that was really fun because we're on the same page where that comes from. And cause it's like, I wrote out the script and I sent it over to him and I had an idea of what it was in my head, and Clint just picked it up like that. And he just was like, yeah, I know exactly what to do. Same with the character designs, everything, like he just knew. And,
I'm actually going to share those in a moment.
Perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, your character designs, is that your art or Clint's art that you sent me?
It's all Clint's art. Yeah.
Okay, it's all Clint's art. Okay.
I did draw out all of the characters though, and I've drawn out the book as how I've worked is I outline, I thumbnail, and then I write the script, because my brain, I just want to be able to draw it out myself, because I want it to be something that hopefully another artist could draw. But yeah, these are all Clint's character designs right here.
And you know what also it gives me the feel of, I mean, it does have the Tartakovsky feel. I see that now that you mention it. It really does have a more playful Kirby to me, but it reminds me of that Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon.
Yeah, there's a bit of that in there too. Yeah, because I've not talked to Clint about that, but we've definitely talked about Bruce Timm.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of, I think just because Clint and I are about the same age, we were both kids when like Justice League and Superman and the Adventures of Superman and the Adventures of Batman and Batman the Animated Series were like on TV a lot. So like, I think we've definitely got that DC cartoon, like the best era. I think we both probably were a little old around the time that The Brave and the Bold came out, but it's like, like it's definitely there. And Clint's talked about, I really would like to point people to our interview with Clint that we just posted, because he goes into his influences a lot in that interview and talks about sort of where he started, how he came to be. But just in short, he's a comic book artist first and foremost, but he definitely has, what made him like his love for storytelling came from animation.
Yeah, if you want to drop me the link in the, to me, send it to me. I'll put it in the comments for people to check out.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that for you. So I'm just going to show the art, and then we'll go back and talk about the characters real quick.
Cool.
But I love these designs. I love the thick outline. Oh man, this is.
Yeah, and here's an example of like a character that's like a really stupid reference, but like I had the idea for this character and I drew him out while I was doing Dino Thrashers, and then just wrote out the description, sent it over to Clint. He did it so much better than I did. But trying to come up with names for the characters is just like the goofy process, and I've been like, I do alliteration for all the character names. So this is Admiral Alan the Ankylosaurus, and his name is Alan, and it's sort of not, it's just tangential, and like there's a Jurassic Park reference there, even though like even if it would make more sense, I guess, if he was a raptor named Alan, that would be like more of the like correlation for Jurassic Park. But I also just like the alliteration because I wanted him to be an Ankylosaurus.
I love alliteration too. I try to make all my characters.
So Admiral Allen there, and he's the leader of Crad the Cosmic Caveman's crew. Okay. And he's not a main feature of the book, but he's definitely there as sort of a supporting character throughout the issue. And this is a worshiper of the hidden fire. This is one of the main antagonists of the book. So the book is called Cosmic Caveman and the Volcano Worshippers. And the plot of the book is that Crad the Cosmic Caveman is trying to rescue this baby Triceratops from this cult of volcano worshippers, and they're called the worshippers of the hidden fire. And the plot is that like there's a volcano that's about to erupt, and that's because the core of the planet itself is about to erupt as well. So the volcano is erupting while the whole planet is about to explode. So Crad is on foot trying to save this baby Triceratops while the rest of his crew is trying to evacuate the whole planet. But there's this crazy cult that thinks that sacrificing the baby Triceratops will save the planet. So this is one of the Brachiosaurus cult members right here who wants to sacrifice the baby Triceratops.
Nice. Now let me ask you, because you said your past project was about dinosaurs as well. Is that just something you're really into, or is it just a theme that you're like, there's not many dinosaur books out, let me do dinosaurs?
I think it was like I had so much fun doing Dino Thrashers that I just wanted more in that vein. That was the big thing more than anything. We definitely this is my first time writing a book. Like this is this is my idea. This is the full execution. And really at the heart of everything with this book is just, I want to read this comic. I guess I hadn't thought about it in a way where I was like, oh wow, I could really corner the market on dinosaur comics or anything like that. I just really, but I'm not even someone who like just goes out of his way for all dinosaur media either. I just like the idea of anthropomorphic dinosaurs in a sci-fi fantasy setting, I think. And I love drawing them in Dino Thrashers, and I just was like, I just want more of this, and I just want to have fun. But I mean, it'd be great to know if I'm like, is this like a market, that I could corner? Just now I am like thinking dollar signs. Just kidding. No, I'm just having fun. Yeah.
It's okay. Dollar signs are important to think about.
Yeah.
I love this design.
Yeah, and this one, and this guy right here, his name is Tri-Skull. The Tri-Skull is what his name is. So the Tri-Skull. And he's a zealot for the cult of the volcano worshippers. and he's sort of the main muscle, like the main and like sort of, I guess, foil to Crad the Cosmic Caveman. He's the boss, I guess, not the foil. He's the boss, the big boss for the end. And his helmet, like his helmet being a skull of a Triceratops, is sort of. I try not to I'm not like slowing the book down to give a lot of world building because it's very action heavy, but I feel like having little details like that in there help fill out the world a little bit. And you get to see a setting later in the book. Hopefully, if we get it funded, and if Clint's able to draw the rest of it, you see a setting where you get to see more of why this character is wearing the skull of a Triceratops. And it's just sort of, I think, trying to fill out the world just through character design and showing and not telling, I guess, rather. And that's been really fun. And again, Clint, he's picked up on it like that. I was like, I want you to draw a muscular Brachiosaurus with a Triceratops skull, and he gave me this, and I was like, perfect. Like, this is awesome. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah, this is Connie the Compy computer. So she's that little dinosaur, and she runs the higher functions of the spaceship, which is a nod to GPC from Mystery Science Theater 3000. But I love the idea of like this little spunky dinosaur that's good with tech, and she's the brains of the operation of Crad's crew. So she's a good guy, and another supporting character along with Alan. And I also Clint's great with color too. Like I love the pink flourishes and the the more purplish blue, the violet jumpsuit. It's great.
I will say this about his artwork. It makes me want to actually stop this and go draw. It's just like, it just looks fun. Like I would love to either have the comic, thanks to the iPad, I could draw anywhere. I don't have to be in my studio anymore. But like sometimes I like to, draw like I was when I was a little kid, like lay on my bed. And the iPad is great for that because I can angle it and still make it look good. But like sometimes you just want that comic next to you or have that cartoon on in front of you, like when you were a little kid. Mm-hmm. And, I tend to, sit properly and do my work properly. But like every now and then it's just like you go back to being that little kid. And like this work gives me that feel like I just want to be, I want to play with color. I want to play with my line making or whatever you want to say. I just want to draw. And like that's the fun of this style for me.
And that's why that's why I have Clint's art on the wall. It's just inspiration all the time to draw.
I've become a fan of him, by the way, and you're gonna have to connect me. I might have to buy some of his work.
He puts up every once in a while. He'll have auctions for sketch cards and full on drawings and things like that he does. And one of the tiers that we have on the Kickstarter, if you want an original Clint Kaiser drawing, we have several tiers where you can get one. So you can get a sketch card, which is like 2.5 by 3.5 card that's full color, any character, comic book character, movie character you want to do. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he's really good with Star Wars. It's most of my collection. But then you can also get an 8 by 10 full color drawing by him, and that's one of our levels of tiers on the Kickstarter. So definitely check that out. It's definitely worth it. They always look good on your wall because I have 5. I have 5 on my wall, and then I have another sketch card just on my bookshelf by him. So love Clint's work. Yeah.
Well, I've actually been talking with my wife about telling her how I want to redecorate the studio a bit.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get some more indie art up on the wall behind me. Not in front of me. I like to keep the stuff I have in front of me for my inspiration while I work. Yeah. Behind me is more for the show,
And now's the time to jump on Clint's artwork because he's doing Cosmic Caveman. Hopefully, again, if we can get funded. I mean, and if we don't fund, we're just going to try again later down the line. But he's also working on his own book right now too. So he's I think he's going places. So now's the time to get on board, get a Clint Kaiser original before he takes off and doesn't have time to do commissions because he's like he's going places.
I believe it.
Yeah. And I don't know how, and I'm really bad at pronouncing this type of dinosaur, but his name is Perrin, and the dinosaur's name starts with P. So he's the pilot,
Okay.
Perrin is the pilot. He's an ace, you know, but like, you know, I love the detail of the band-aids that he has on him because he's an engineer. You know, that's a Clint flourish. I didn't give him that. That was just Clint. Because
That's
he's
nice.
like, you know, he's repairing the ship all the time. You know, he's got band-aids on him because he's always dinging himself up. But that's just Clint being cool. And yeah, but again, like what I'm looking forward to, like you said, like having the book there just so I can flip through it because like I wanted to make a book that as a middle schooler, but even as an adult, I wouldn't put in a bag and board right away. I would just want to have it out so I can look at it all the time.
Yeah.
And Perrin's a good illustration of that. Love his design, but also just Clint being a good character designer. All these characters have such unique silhouettes. It's so freaking cool. Love it. Yeah. Love it so much.
It's gorgeous. It really is gorgeous work.
Yeah.
Now, before I move on, you know, you gave me a few pages I can show of the comic, and before we move on to that, I want to get back to Matt for a moment because you've been a little quiet. And
yeah, Matt, what's your deal?
Let me just find. I'm sorry, I got 3 monitors. I'm trying to find my mouse. All right, there we go. So, excuse me. So, Matt, you're the publisher of the book, and your company is called Ageless.
Ageless Press.
Yeah, Ageless Press. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I didn't need to stop sharing. I thought it was in a different window. I wanted to show the Instagram that I've been looking at and where I followed, you know, where I started following you on. And this I don't know how it came up, but this is what came up for Cosmic Caveman. I think it was one of those things you might like this, and they were right. So can you tell us about Ageless Press, how that came to be? And I'll show some of the work as you talk.
Sure. Yeah, so probably about, I guess at this point, close to 3 years ago, I had been carrying on, you know, we were in the pandemic, and I made online friends with a guy named Brett Murphy, who did a book called Paranormal Hitman for Behemoth Comics. And he was like, hey, do you have any interest in, you know, starting a publishing company with me? You know, so, you know, we were working, figuring things out, and, you know, we had hoped to make some of our own books, and we were looking at this as a way of maybe getting our work out there. But the way it started so far is that we're helping out other folks to make their books. So I'm technically the co-publisher with Brett Murphy. Just another like-minded guy like Noah and I, who's just you know, a comic fan that also has that bug to make comics himself. I love Paranormal Hitman. You know, I was able to edit that book for him. The artist on that book is Wilson Gandolfo, who was the artist of my very first book that I took to Kickstarter. So, you know, I love Wilson's art. So, you know, I was able to connect those two guys, and they have a great working relationship now. So yeah, I'm the publisher. You know, I will say that Noah might not like social media so much. So I think me being here as the publisher and helping out with different things, you know, I can kind of fill in and do some. Again, the way that we work really well is I can fill in and do some of the stuff that he might not want to do. I can tell you, if anybody comes to me and they're like, hey, you know, your file is off, we need this, and this, it just all sounds like, you know, the Charlie Brown teacher talking, and I'm like, hey, Noah, do you know what this person's talking about? And he's like, sure, I got that, let me fix that. So like, while I don't like doing that stuff, Noah doesn't necessarily like posting on Twitter, Facebook, that kind of stuff. So I balance that out and try to get the word out. You know, so that's just my role, and I'm just as excited about this book as Noah is. We're just these weird guys that if we're not doing our day job, we're thinking about making comics and making art. As you're scrolling through, there's various things. Some of those are a project that I'm working on individually, but I was just the rockers, the spying rockers. That's a book that I'm doing called Metal Eagle. So I was just using all of my platforms to try to get the word out. When you have 3 Instagrams that you run, you spread out the word on all of them. What's interesting, the image to the left is a Clint Kaiser variant cover for issue 1 of Metal Eagle. Very much again in his style, and I love the sort of the dichotomy of Gonzalo, who's the main artist, the image on the right. You know, it's cartoony, but you know it's very stylized. Where you know then we also have cartoony stylized in Clint style. So yeah, those are at the printer now, and hopefully will be in the mail to backers of the Kickstarter very soon.
Nice.
Yeah, and to tease something, Gonzalo's done a cover for Cosmic Caveman, so we'll hopefully have a post in the next couple of weeks like this, but with the Cosmic Caveman covers, with Clint's Cosmic Caveman with colors by Alfred Cabilon next to Gonzalo Ruggieri's cover, Cosmic Caveman, and yeah, it'll be cool.
I'm just going to open these in new tabs in case I don't follow these people. Yep.
Yeah.
Follow.
Gonzalo.
I love this guy's work. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm following him already. Awesome.
Good.
Ooh.
Everybody should follow Clint. Everybody should follow
Optimus
Gonzalo.
Primal. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a Beast Wars fan. I just love the. Ooh, that's a good Batman too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who it reminds me of. It's such a good geek. Oh man, I'm just gonna geek out. We can't do this. I'm gonna geek out about art. Let's
Clint's art's so good. You gotta give him a follow, and like I said, just back the Kickstarter and get an original piece.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely
amazing.
be backing this Kickstarter. I'll let you know that.
Awesome. Yeah, there are multiple tiers, so you can get a physical copy tier, you know, but there's also a digital copy tier where it's a lot more affordable, and it's just, you know, Ageless Press. We've had a philosophy that we just want everybody to be able to read the books, and if you can't afford a physical copy, where we make sure that the digital copy is really easy to pick up. So, you know, it's I think you know it'll be good, hopefully, for people who just want to read it, like on their iPad or something.
Out of curiosity, are you going to have any tiers for comic shops to be looking at, or?
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, actually, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna try to do a retailer tier so that you know people can buy multiple copies at a very, like, you know, at a cost effective rate. And then we're also gonna have a tier where people can just buy all the different variant covers as well. But yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, we have another cover done by Travis Wells, who had done a book with us called Mossvale, which was another book we did with animals in it. This one was a raccoon. It's a raccoon knight and an owl wizard. Dungeons and Dragons. Nice. I almost forgot that he was a raccoon because Travis always forgets to draw the raccoon tail. So.
Is that on your Instagram here? Like I can see artwork if I scroll down?
Let me drop it. We'll drop a link in there.
Yeah, it's probably a little.
That's it right there. I just saw that.
Yeah. So there's some interior pages. That's Noah's drawing there.
Yeah,
he did
nice art, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Travis is. And we should be seeing another issue of Mossvale here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Travis is that's all on the page. He inks, pencils, inks, markers, and then Noah lettered the book. But actually, I think, Noah, this is correct. Didn't Travis draw in the balloons physically on the page, and then you just scanned them and lettered it in? So it's a very old school analog way to make comics. And I'm just really impressed with Travis's coloring to do that with a marker. The lights, the shadows, the two light sources, that all that stuff that he's able to do. You would think that he's doing that on a computer, but those are markers.
He's got a great sense of light and shadow here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all self-taught too, which is really frustrating.
What did you say?
All self-taught.
Wow.
No formal training. I mean, like maybe some art classes here and there, but like, this is all intuitive comics making. This is his first comic that he ever drew. Nothing shorter before, nothing longer. Mossvale was his first foray, and it's amazing.
Just out of curiosity, do you know any of his influences? Because I'm seeing like really classic cartoonist art in here, mixed with like some indie artists, and I'm going back like 60s, 70s, popular people like a little Crumb, a little, a little bit of.
I would say his two big influences are Bill Watterson and Jeff Smith. Like those are the two big ones, and those are the ones he cites a lot. And you can definitely see that when you read the book. And he even has a Calvin and Hobbes homage panel, like a couple pages before this. But Bone and Calvin and Hobbes, like those are the ones that he cites the most.
I could definitely see Watterson's work in there.
Oh yeah, he's got some Bill Watterson vibes for sure. Yeah. That's a character design for Mittens, the Tiger Slayer, who we also just saw smashing up some spiders in the last panel.
That is just gorgeous stuff, man.
Oh yeah,
gorgeous stuff. And I got to be honest, I'm very happy that I have found you guys, because it looks like I'm going to be looking up work from you and seeing, and I'm going to be asking you, how do I get copies of stuff that outside of Cosmic Caveman, which isn't out yet? How do I get copies of the other books you're talking about here?
Yeah, we have all of them available on our Gumroad shop. The ones that we have in stock, that is. We're all sold out of Dino Thrashers issue 1, but we've got digital copies of all the books that we've worked on. So Dino Thrashers 1 and 2, Mossvale, and also Superior Sam, Everyone Needs a Home, which is the other book we put out last year along with Mossvale. And also Gonzalo Ruggieri's art book, Mutant.
Yeah.
And so we've got all digital copies of those, but also physical copies of from Dino Thrashers 2 on.
One thing that I'd like to explore, and we do have some time, which we will probably do, is the Kickstarter allows you to do add-ons. So we will probably in the next couple of days before we launch, we'll do an add-on. So if you want to catch up on Mossvale, Mutant, or Superior Sam, we'll definitely have those. I don't know about the state of Dino Thrashers unless we just do digital copies there. But yeah, we'll probably add those. But actually, no, just brainstorming here, it might be good to just do a ageless tier where it's Cosmic Caveman, and then whatever else we still have copies of, we could do a ageless tier.
Yeah, and add-ons are always a good deal too. Yeah, but for the most part, everything is pretty available in our Gumroad shop. So if anybody does want more ageless stuff, we've got all that available all the time. Or if you see us at a convention, like Matt and I are going to be at Heroes Con next week, we'll have copies of Dino Thrashers 2 all the way through to Mossvale and the Gonzalo Ruggieri art book, Yeah. And I'll have ash cans of Cosmic Caveman, just the first 5 pages and the character designs for purchase.
And the Mossvales that we'll have at Heroes Con are the newer cover that was done by Noah. So
yes,
again, Noah's art is featured on the cover that we're taking to Heroes Con.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I just tried posting the link you sent me, but for some reason it did not post the link and posted something weird from Instagram, which I have no clue, but it's not an active link, so I'm just reposting.
Okay.
Guys.
Okay.
I
Sorry
was
about
trying
that.
to. No. It's not your fault. I must have copied it incorrectly. This is the past show that you and Clint are talking. But anyway, I want to get back to you guys. So next week's the show. I'm sorry, just repeat that.
Next week
is
we're
Heroes
launching.
Con.
Yeah, we're launching the Kickstarter on Wednesday, and then Wednesday night I'm driving to Richmond and spending the night with my partner there, and then the next day I'm driving to Heroes Con to set up, and then Friday through Sunday, Matt and I are going to be tabling at Heroes Con where we'll have all our stuff there. I'll have a limited number of copies of the Ash Can for Cosmic Caveman, which is just like it'll be a really small book. And I have it packed up already, which I should have brought out to show everybody, but I have it packed up already because I printed them all. But like they're like this small, just small printed version of the first 5 pages of the comic with a preview of the covers in the back, and also with Clint's character designs, and those will be for sale. And I'll do a sketch in each one. If you buy one, I'll have a sketch. I'll do a sketch for you in the back of it. So
have you ever been to Heroes Con? I'm just curious because I've never done the show, but people have told me I should.
It is by far Noah and I's favorite show. Other than the years that we missed for COVID, we have gone as guests the last 3 years, or the last 3 times they held it.
Yeah.
And this will be the first time that we're tabling at it. But it's a really great show. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina, so you're in like a mid-size like southern like city, so it's like laid back. Tons of artists come. There's an auction on an art auction on Saturday nights. There's a drink and draw on Friday where everybody just comes, hangs out, they draw, and then all the pieces go up for auction there, and anything that's sold. I think last year went to like Parkinson's charity. So it's by far my favorite con, and I'm pretty sure the same is for Noah.
It's split between that and SPX. Like those are my 2 favorite shows. Even they're both very different, but I love both of them so much.
Yeah, it's funny because I haven't done either, and everyone tells me those are 2 shows I should be doing.
Oh, they're both not to be missed. Like because they're just all comics and creator focused. That's what's so great about it.
And that's what I like. I mean, I'm not going to go on my tirade here. I do have an issue with all the big shows that become like these pop culture events and bring tons and tons of celebrities and whatnot. And I'm not knocking them because I'm actually friends with some of those celebrities, and everyone needs to make their money. But as a comic creator, when you go to those shows and you're paying for a table and you're paying for those spots, they're not coming to see you. They're coming to see the celebrities. And I'd rather be at shows where it's creator focused, or at least comic focused, if not creator focused. And yeah. I, being up in New York, I don't get to travel, down south as much as I'd like to for shows. So I'm hoping 2024 I can remedy that and be at a lot more of the shows you were just mentioning, and a few others that people have told me I should be doing a lot.
Yeah,
so.
No, it's worth it. I think New York would be easier for you to do SPX. I know a lot of, I'm actually, SPX this year, a lot of friends of mine from New York are coming down to either table or just to attend. It's not the worst trip because it's in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah.
But Heroes is a bit of a trip of like, that's something that's not necessarily cost. I don't know, that's not something that's like cheap, I guess, from anywhere. So it's like to travel there, but it's, if you can't afford it, it's really worth going because like you said, it's creator focused, and you meet people who just want to read comics and meet comic creators and hang out with those people and buy their stuff. It's great. Yeah. Because that's what Matt and I do. Like we've got this is our first year where we're not going just to go and hang out with creators and buy their stuff. So it's
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at some of these pages that you have. Oops, I'm clicking on the wrong area. Okay. So these are the first 5 pages to, Cosmic Caveman.
Yep, this is the first 5 pages. Yeah, and Clint just the cinematic. He has the eye for like cinema, you know, and camera angles and things like that. And it's amazing. I love his pacing. So good. You know, I try to be very descriptive with my panels and things like that. Like I wrote out all the descriptions of everything, but it's always just great to see what he does, you know, like it's not exactly what I wrote down, but it's just enough and it gets the feeling through. And you know, right from the start, I wanted it to just be action, you know, like just start off right away with our main character running away from these raptors. And that's the momentum I just wanted to carry throughout the whole book. And I think we do a good job of it.
You know, it's funny. I'm colorblind. Okay, I have a form. I don't know. Everyone, there's different kinds, but I'm what people call shade blind. I see all colors, but when colors start blending, I have trouble telling them apart. Okay. I cannot see the colors in that last panel well, like what colors he used, but I'm loving the silhouettes. I'm loving how he has this kind of clouds going back, almost like it's the wind pushing, you know, he's riding the wind in his jump. It's just a really nice piece right there.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Man.
And then you get a better look at the raptor designs that Clint did for this book on this page.
Yeah.
I love how they look. It's so cool. The rule of cool for this book, man. Like just, you know, I gave him descriptions, but number one rule, and I knew he'd follow, is just make it look cool. And did a good job of that.
Yeah. And that's Noah's letters. Noah's the letterer on the book.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, you're saying you lettered the book.
Yeah,
too.
Which is very sparse because I don't have a lot of dialogue in the book. It's just mostly action throughout the whole thing.
But that's
it is
fine.
like, yeah, when I do have when there are letters in the book, they are mine. So yeah, which also gives me another chance to like edit the dialogue and stuff. So it's good. Yeah, great splash page. Yeah, but Clint just knows how to like give characters weight, which is just such a good, you know, that's sort of I feel like, I don't think he's done animation, like, you know, like seriously done animation, but like that's sort of what I feel is the animator in him, is just how much weight the characters have. You can see that in Crad. Like he's got such a good, like his posture and his gesture, just you can feel the weight of the club, of how much the baby Triceratops weighs, how much his head weighs, you know, that kind of thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's gorgeous here. I love this page, the way he laid it out with the breaking, you know, all the wounds that they're getting. So that club's a little more than a piece of wood if it's deflecting its lasers there in a way.
Another bit of showing, not telling. We just want to, like, you know, get to the action, show what Crad's capable of, what he's capable of taking, you know, how he fights, all that stuff. But also, you know, that's the Star Wars that we both love, you know, him having like something that he can deflect blaster bolts with. Yeah.
And this is the last page you got right now.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a big part for me, just because I want to make sure that, like, you know, our guy's more like Indiana Jones than he is like, you know, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger character or something like that, you know, like he when he takes a hit, that kind of thing. It doesn't just bounce off, like, you know, that I think adds some good stakes to the action. That's something that I really wanted to be in the book, is that he's not just someone who is invincible, like on the previous page, he just takes out all those guys, but you can tell, like, when he's in a fight, he's in an actual fight, and it's going to be a hard one to the you know, I wanted it to be like a hard won battle, I guess, you know, for Crad, and I feel this page gets it through, and Clint again just doing a good job. You feel the impact of everything on this page.
You know what, And again, this is just going to be geeking out over his art. I would love, because obviously this is digital. I'd love to see his process, like just watch him. Like if he just doing this page alone, a process video on this, I think this would be just gorgeous to watch. I sometimes, when I'm working, I like to put on other artists' drawing or whatever. And this is something I would just, hey, pick up my head and just look at every now and then and see how it's improving.
Yeah. He's really good at posting his time lapses. So if you look at all his Instagram and you look at like that Batman drawing that you're pointing out, he usually posts the time lapse with his drawings. It's really great. And he actually has a YouTube channel of himself where he sits down and just does his traditional drawings.
Awesome.
And has like a really nice voiceover. I don't think he's posted a video in a while. Last year he posted quite a few, and I would watch them while I would draw. It was really cool. It was really inspiring. Clint's really good about sharing his process. Again, point people to our Constructing Comics interview with him. He gets into his process a little bit. It's awesome.
Well, I'm definitely going to be listening to your show. I got to check it. Now, is your show just audio or is it video as well? Just out of curiosity.
99% just audio. I think we've done a few video shows. We have a buddy, Clay, or Shadow Rabbit Clay guy, which is
I know.
Yeah. So he's doing figurines, but we had him on the podcast, and we were like, hey, this one is actually made for the visual medium, because he's just sitting there as we're talking, and he like produces these like amazing clay figures, and like Lewis, he creates these like really cool figures. So that one we posted online, but for the most part it's audio. We might dabble in video at some point, but right now it's all audio.
I'm just curious for listening to it. How is it something I need to watch, or is it just listening? But I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, most of the time it's just listening. But yeah, Lewis is a special case where we had to have a video where he was sculpting, because he was sculpting the whole time.
Yeah.
And but we're gonna have Lewis hopefully on the show during the campaign for this book, because he's doing sculptures at a sculpture tier for it as well. And
awesome.
he did a sculpture tier for us on Mossvale, and he produced some of the coolest things I've ever seen in 3D. Like, it's just great. And we've commissioned him before. We commissioned him for our table statue of Tor from Dino Thrashers, and love his work. So Lewis is awesome. Another inspirational person to have on and to talk to.
I should reach out to. I actually, I know him, and I haven't seen him since pre-pandemic at a show, because since the pandemic started, I've only been to like two, or ended, if you want to say. I've only been to two shows, and one I did myself. Like I actually tabled at. The other was just hanging out with a friend while he was tabling. But yeah, I used to do a lot of shows and see him at shows, and I haven't seen him because he's not near me, but he's a good maybe hour away from where I am.
Yeah, so he's Jersey based, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and Matt and I have a funny story of how we met him. And Matt wants to tell that story. It's
Go
really
for
funny.
it. I love funny.
Not
stories.
Really funny, but it's funny. Yeah.
We were at Awesome Con in Washington D.C. and we're just sort of making the rounds, and I think we had walked past his table 2 or 3 times, and he does. I don't know what the proper term is, but he makes these little like dioramas and these almost like small plastic cases, and I was like, no, we should ask this guy to recreate the cover to Dino Thrashers. And we walked up and we're like, hey, we're creators, we have this project, we're wondering if we could show you some of the images, if you'd be interested in recreating some of this stuff. And he looks up and he's like, I know you guys, I backed that Kickstarter. And we were like, so he made a claymation figure for us, and Noah went back to the hotel later that night and drew. You made him as a dinosaur, right?
Yeah, that was the tier he backed it at, to be drawn as a dinosaur. So it was cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you thankfully we finally made the effort to stop and talk to him. You know, I feel bad. We probably walked past his table 2 or 3 times in a sort of con days. You know how, you know, this thing attracts your attention, this thing attracts your attention. But we did finally stop and talk to him, and hadn't realized that we were already somewhat connected at that point. And since then, it's, you know, whenever we have a project where, you know, we have these cool characters, it's you know, it's something that we want Lewis to be a part of, to, you know, these one-off sculpts. If you're really into the story, it's a really cool thing to have. I think Noah's brother has a really cool, why am I drawing a blank on the owl's name?
Oh, he is Nigel. Yeah, I think
Nigel,
is
and
Nigel.
Nigel carries a wizard staff, and
Okay.
he found like a Christmas light, a blue Christmas light, and he put it in there, so like it actually looks like he's casting a spell. So yeah, we love having Lewis part of our projects.
That is
yeah.
awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, no, he really is a good guy. I remember, I think the first time I met him, we tabled next to each other, and I used to, well, I don't sculpt like him, but years ago, I used to work in puppetry, and I used to build and perform. So I used to make molds and things, and we talked about, you know, sculpture and stuff. But I'm not on his level. Yeah, you know,
No one is.
He's a master.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he does some really cool stuff. Really
Yeah.
cool stuff. So, but man, I mean, I think we're gonna wrap up, guys. But I gotta say, this sounds like it's gonna be a great book. When the Kickstarter comes out, I know it's next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just send me a reminder. I will make sure to share that the Kickstarter is out. I mean, I'm sure I'll get the email reminder, you know, because I'm one of the people waiting to get notified for it. But just send me a reminder, and I'll be happy to share this out. I mean, I think a lot of people I know, specifically comic artists, I think would be a fan of this book. You know, like I said, one of the things that I looked at and I'm like, oh, this is something I should have created. It sounds like something I would have done. Because I mean, like the first thing I did getting into the industry was I self-published a book called Plunger Pup. It was about a dog who fought crime with a magic plunger. It was an intergalactic Star Wars meets Green Lantern, and everybody was like a parody of some other type of superhero or whatever. And I mean, we're going back to the late 90s on this thing. Those books don't exist anymore. But yeah, like it just had that feel of something I would do. And one of the things that people always have told me about my work, the majority of my fans are other artists. You know, they're other creators. And in the beginning, it was a lot of like pro creators looking at my work, seeing how much fun I was having, if you will, because people weren't doing their own indie books when they were, you know, doing mainstream books at the time. Mm-hmm. As the time changes and everyone's doing stuff, but my fans still tend to be creators, whether they're pro, indie, amateur, whatever you want to call them. My fans are more often than not creators. And I get this feel that this book is something creators are going to enjoy because, like, as you mentioned, it's influenced by Tartakovsky. It's like the influences are who these other creators are looking at anyway. So they're just gonna love this. And a lot of the people I'm friends with and connect with on social media are actual creators. So when I share this, I'm hoping to bring it to their attention. I think these are the people, at least in my opinion, who are gonna just like go nuts for the book. You know, I hope everyone does, but it's got that fun. Hey, every creator wishes they could work on this, or they're going to be like, you're drawing dinosaurs and intergalactic cavemen. I mean, come on, how cool is that? You know, this is the type of stuff they're going to like fan art over. You know, it's so I'm really looking forward to sharing this. I'm looking forward to this being a successful Kickstarter because I need a copy of this book. That's all I'm saying. Is I need a copy. I want it for me. I'm more selfish about it right now than you guys are.
That's very nice. I mean, that's very nice of you
I might not be. I'm hoping I'm not as selfish as you, but I am very selfish too. That's all I want. That's all I'm doing this Kickstarter for. I just want a copy of this book too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Clint's work. I'm having fun writing up this script for him. It's great. Yeah.
I'm enjoying what I'm seeing already, and I can't wait to see more. I'm excited for you guys. Is there anything before I drop you backstage you guys would like to say, or we didn't cover or something?
I think we did pretty thorough. Thank you so much for letting us talk and then promote the book.
Anytime, man. You guys are welcome back anytime. Anytime you have a book, you just want to come on and say, hey, listen, I got some comic stuff I want to bitch about or whatever. Hey, come on. It's, whatever it is, you both of you are welcome back anytime, and hopefully Clint can join you.
Yeah. I think I dropped out there for a second, but we would love to have you come on our show and talk about your process. So that would be awesome if you were ready and willing and able. We could schedule that, because as Noah said earlier, we love talking about it. I often use the analogy that, like, I take something from the interview and put it in my creative tool belt, like Batman's utility belt. Like, if somebody says, hey, this is how I do it. Bye, Dylan. So, I would love to have you on, and we could talk process on our platform.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. Be happy to. All right, I'm going to drop you backstage. If you guys want to hang out just for a minute, I'm just doing my wrap up.
Sure.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, guys. So, I put the Kickstarter link in the, or did I? Did I forget to? Let me get that Kickstarter link for you guys, because I had it here. But that was Matt and Noah, and their book is Cosmic Caveman. This Wednesday, June 14th, it goes live on Kickstarter. And I'm sorry, I'm just re-getting it because I guess I did something that I forgot. Where is it here? There it is. I don't remember if I dropped this link on in the beginning, so I'm putting this in the comments. Please make sure you go in. Please make sure that you get notified when this goes live, and back this book. This is going to be a really fun book. Just the 5 pages alone already got me into it. The character designs, this is going to be awesome. And these are the type of books I like. I will see you guys next week. I have another great a really amazing artist I met recently on Free Comic Book Day. He has a children's book out. We're going to talk about a few things with him. He's got some really, really nice work. So I will see you guys next week. You have a great rest of your day, weekend, whenever you're watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.